Welcome back to the Spirit, Mind and Soul podcast. I have a really great episode for you today with model and activist Sophia. Sophia and I spoke about so many interesting topics, really empowering topics. Sophia found herself homeless, age 16, and just took a chance, stepped out of her comfort zone and went on to become a model and ended up supporting various charities, which she talks about here. And we talk about how to empower your subconscious mind and how to take goals off a pedestal. We also cover body image, and Sophia talks about how it was a hard life, but she's just so grateful for everything that she's managed to achieve at such a young age. So I hope you enjoy this one. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so because I have more great episodes coming up soon. For now, here's Sophia. Hi Sophia, thanks so much for joining me today and for agreeing to come on and share your story. What a great story you've got, Miss Scotland finalist and the modelling that you're doing now, and I know you have a really important message about the modelling you're doing now as well. So yeah, welcome. And I would love to hear, I know we chatted before and you told me about your difficult childhood, which is such, it's like black and white, your life then and the life that you're living now. So do you want to go back to that time and tell us a bit about your life?
Yeah, Karen, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I'm so happy to be chatting with you. But no, you're right. I think I wasn't when I was younger. I've had quite a colourful life, and my mother and my dad, they were in a really bad car accident and they died. But I'm so lucky. Like, my mum actually got brought back to life. Like, it's a miracle. They don't even know how she survived it. She couldn't walk though. She was like in a metal cage from her neck down and she was in a coma for a while. So recovery took years. So, I mean, I ended up kind of in foster care due to that. But like my mum, she is the most, like, I think that's why I've kind of looked and got to where I am, because my mum is such a tough woman and I'm just proud to be from the same stock as her, So I feel like she's been a big part of inspiring me. I've had a really strong woman figure. She's been my mum and my dad. But after I was in care, when you turn 16, there's nowhere for young adults or children of care to go. So I ended up on the homeless waiting list, and I had to go into different homeless accommodations. And it was hard, it'd been a hard few years for the family. And I remember looking at Miss Scotland and looking at the beautiful girls there, and I just felt like from such a different world, such a different demograph altogether. And I thought, well, wait a minute, like, this is Scotland too. Like, I am a Scottish woman, and just because maybe I don't have the same kind of you know background as other people, well, that's, nobody does, everybody's different. So I ended up learning to embrace it, and I've thought, this is real. This is real Scotland. There's plenty of other women worse off than me. So I thought, yeah, I want to apply. I feel like, yeah, in modelling and in many workplaces and everything really, there's a massive underrepresentation of women in general, or even like women of colour. And these things aren't even, women that are a bigger weight, they're not represented on the media as a true reflection of society. And I think those are things that should be like just as important. It shouldn't be like, I'm not ashamed that I was homeless. I'm proud of myself. I'm not like, I feel like I should still have the same opportunities from social mobility to, chase my dreams as much as anybody else. So I was really lucky, and I ended up getting help from an amazing charity, Bernardo's. I'm sure you've probably heard of them. and they helped me through homelessness get mental health support and take my power back. And that's when I actually started working with a homeless charity, and I applied for Miss Scotland, and I didn't expect anything, of course, coming back from it. I just thought it was more of a political empowered move that I wanted to apply for those reasons, and I couldn't believe that I was accepted right through to the finals, and that's where it all began.
Mm-hmm. So going back then to, when you were technically homeless, because that obviously has such a big impact and you were so young, how did you even mentally cope with that? Because you must have been so scared.
Such a good question. Yeah, it's through my care, and I think a lot of, like, I'm not afraid to talk about it. I think these are the conversations that exactly we should be having to make a change. You know, people want to make a difference and they don't know how to. But when I was homeless, like, I had been in care before that. Actually went through some like physical and abuse as a child, so already my mind was very fractured and in a state of fight or flight, because obviously, you know, I'd just lost my father, and then,
Mm.
you know, I go into a place where it was new, and that was scary. So to answer your question, I actually found homelessness, everyone experience will be different, of course, but I felt more vulnerable in care because I knew what I was going home to, so I didn't want to go home. But of course, I knew the risks. I knew I was just as vulnerable, and I did. I used to. I remember sitting like in closes just all night, and I would sit there and think like, "Oh, what if I get attacked?" Like, and all these things. Of course, you're thinking, and it is traumatic. I did think you just go into a survival mode, you do. And I think it's because it was all I'd kind of known is one issue after another. I just kept getting on with it, but it did have a massive impact on my mental health. And there was a point where I really struggled with my PTSD, and I've had to do a lot of work in so many ways to get to where I am now. But that is the most, like, if I could tell myself anything to the girl back then that was going through this, it would be to invest in myself, in my mind, in my power, you know, not like in that sense. Because if I was homeless, like, I wouldn't want £1 million. I would want that self-esteem that was robbed from me as a child after going through what I went through. Like, that's when I kind of had to fight and face those fears. Only then could I really start being able to get back to work. But I think that was also a massive factor because it was so close to my heart. Just like everyone's got their passion. Maybe a lot of people are affected by cancer and maybe they're heavily involved, you know, with those charities. Like, I thought there's people worse off than me. I need to get up and I need to help them. I have a voice now, and it's my responsibility to use my voice as a woman in a first world country for those who don't have that.
So I think that's a really important part of your story and message, because that alone, you being homeless and completely, that strength that you've taken and then to get where you are now, to get back on your feet, but also to feel empowered. And what you've just said, you thought, why shouldn't I apply for Miss Scotland? And you're right. And I think that alone is a powerful message for anyone they might not be homeless, but they might be at that really low point where they just feel there's no hope. And I think that alone, and what you've just described, will show them that there's always hope, and there's always a way out, and there's always, I call it, the two windows. You can look at it as everything's doom or gloom and everything's going wrong, but you've always got that other window, that other perspective where there's opportunities, there's growth. You can, as long as you're alive, there are possibilities and opportunities for
Yeah.
you.
I love that analogy, the two windows. Karen, I might take that from you and steal it. That's brilliant. You're so right. It is. It's not easy. Like I study I study social sciences, so that involves psychology and things
Yeah.
like that too. And you know, brains are scientifically hardwired to think of the negatives. And that's what we actually do naturally. Like when I look in the mirror, for example, if I was to say, oh, I look fat, like I look fat, and then my brain actually finds the evidence to say, yeah, that dress that used to fit you doesn't, and
Yeah.
or your boyfriend's not like complimenting you as much. So whereas you don't look at
Mhm.
yourself and say, oh yeah, I'm gorgeous, and then go, oh yeah, this is really doing this, and this person done that. It's just
Mm.
naturally built into us psychologically to be hardwired negatively, and that's not a bad thing. It's just about recognizing it, and then like you said, you can change it. It's rewiring the brain, I
Mhm.
call it, and it does
Yeah.
involve
Mhm.
challenging your negative thoughts quite a lot. But it's been one of
Mhm.
the biggest and best things that has definitely been a tool that's helped me change my whole life and everything. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's actually what I do, neuro-linguistic programming. And you're right, what
Amazing.
you've just said, your subconscious mind will look for evidence. It
Yeah,
takes everything literally. So it doesn't,
yeah,
whether it's negative or positive, like you just said, it will look for and it will gather the evidence. What you're feeding it is true, whether that's good or
yeah,
bad, it will find the evidence that you're looking for. So if you're saying, I'm overweight, I'm ugly, I'm too
yeah,
old now, your subconscious mind will look for all the evidence that that is true. And if you
yeah.
start feeding it empowering thoughts, it will start looking for the evidence that that's true.
Absolutely. And that's like, even if you have to post it, like, you're right, attention defines destination. And I thought, if I focus on being angry and hurt and like this isn't fair and I'm just a kid,
Mm,
like if I focus on being angry, I'm going to be more angry. Like that's just the outcome. If I focus on, you know, drinking this coffee, I'm going to drink this coffee. Like, so why not put that focus on? Like
mm,
I thought at first, I thought be a model, I could never do that, but then I just took it off a pedestal, and I thought it's any job,
mhm,
just like any other job. It's just like any other job. You have to work just as hard. If I wanted to
mhm,
be a doctor, I would have to go to uni, and I could do that. If I wanted to do, I'm a social scientist, I can go to uni, I can do that. If I want to be a model, I need to work hard at it,
mhm,
and I did that. And that was the like what I always kept as. I knew I had that. I knew, if you have your health, you have your
mhm,
self-esteem, then you can do anything. It's just putting the right attention to
mhm,
the right place.
mhm. I love that. And I love what you just said about we put things on a pedestal like jobs,
Yeah,
relationships, friendships. You think, I'm not good enough to be friends with them. I'm not good enough for him or her. We do
yeah,
put people and things on a pedestal. And once you take that off and you see that we're all the same, we were all born with the same opportunities and possibilities, all born obviously into different worlds. I
yeah,
get that, but we still have the same opportunities and possibilities ahead of us. And I think that's
yes,
really important. A hard lesson I've had to learn, take things
right,
off a pedestal because we're
yeah.
all we're all deserving of it.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. Like, that's something my mum always taught me, and I will thank her for that forever because she literally always
Mhm,
said to me, Sophie, if you want it bad enough, you work hard enough, you'll get it. And
mhm.
that by
Yeah.
doing that, I think that helped me take it off a pedestal, and I drilled that into myself. So
Mhm,
when I wanted to be a model, I literally became a model. I became a Miss Scotland finalist, and I did so much success.
mhm,
It was amazing. And then I thought, okay. And then I started
mhm,
working with charities, and I fell in love with that. And I travelled the world working on really important humanitarian campaigns. And then I thought, I
mhm,
want to own my own company doing this. So by the age of 24, I opened my own face-to-face fundraising company, and I did that. And
mhm,
I had to represent, like Australian Red Cross, Oxfam Australia, UNICEF, Plan International, and we would work on campaigns. And it's like I was only 24 and I was, managing 30,
mhm.
40 year olds. And I was like, it's just because I put my mind to it. It's just because I worked hard at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is, whether I believe I could be a rock star if I wanted to. If I work hard enough, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. What a honestly powerful message because society, I feel, does not nurture our dreams and goals. So we
You're
need
so
people
right.
like you that are say, we need to hear these words because
Yeah,
I don't think society does not nurture. You're at school, we're just taught you leave school, you go to university, you get a sensible job, and you have a
yeah.
family. We're not really told to dream bigger than
You're
that.
so
But
right.
I think.
I just get so
Yeah,
excited
on you
talking
go.
to you. I could talk to you for, I want to interview you. You're so interesting. But no, that's literally what I was thinking about. The only thing that's constant is change. Everything's changing. You know, and don't get me wrong, it is going the right direction and it's so great to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right. And I think now people like yourself are speaking out more and more. We're getting the courage, I suppose, because it used to be we would be attacked, but now I
Yeah,
think it's
you're right.
becoming more accepted. And I think so the message is getting out there, and I think people are starting to dream that little bit bigger and, step their foot out of their comfort zone. So it's nice to see things are beginning to change. And obviously people like you are being the example as well. So do you want to tell us more about when you got into the modelling world? Obviously age 24, you're starting your own company. Do you want to tell us
Yeah.
more about that and what that opened up for you? Just by, that's
Yeah.
you literally did take that step out of your comfort zone and have an
Yeah.
example that opens up more opportunities for you.
You know, Karen, do you know what? I actually did it, and like, you can probably tell I'm a sucker for a quote. Like, I love my quotes, and especially when they resonate with you, you know. And one of them
Hmm.
literally is, I do something every day that scares me. Pardon me. So whether that be, like, I thought, oh, I don't want to, like, I'm trying to think, like, oh, I don't want to sing in public. So I was like, right, okay, I'm just going to sing in public. Like, or it could
Yeah.
literally be anything. And that is, by doing that, it is literally giving me the ability and the confidence really to just step right out of my comfort zone and just say, okay, let's
Hmm.
put myself in the deep end. But yeah, so I started modelling, well, and I started fundraising and modelling both about 18. So, or was it maybe just before? Yeah. And I started them at roughly the same time because, like I say, I wasn't one, I loved working with charities, especially because getting help from Bernardo's and, you know, they gave so much to me. I just felt like I want to give that back. So it was a really big passion. So I kept that work, even though it's charity work, it was little pay. I kept it going full time because, like I say, that's where my passion lies. But on the side, I did modelling that would boost the bank account quite a lot. But the industry, like, it's years later, like, I started at 18, I'm 28 now, and I'm back into it again. So that's 10 years. The worlds are different, and I'm really glad, thankfully they are, because I'm sure we've all heard the horror stories about, you know, models, Victoria's Secret models, the Playboy bunnies, the way they're
Hmm.
mistreated. But the way that it was back then, like, I wasn't allowed to dye my hair. I wasn't allowed to have any piercings. I wasn't allowed tattoos. I had to be stick thin, like, literally stick. I was like a size 6, 4, 6. And it was even quite, don't get me wrong, some incredible, amazing people that I am so grateful that I love to work with and I'll work with them forever. But there has been, it was quite intimidating actually. I remember the first time a man as a photographer and I had to work with him. And he was quite a bit older. And like I say, I was only 18 and quite, you know, shy. Believe it or not, I was quite shy back then. Hence the do something every day that scares you challenge. But basically, he was like to me, started kind of insinuating like, oh, the other girls, like, they give me a and I give them extra money. And I was just kind of like, well, that's not going to happen here ever in a million years. But I
Hmm.
was so like
Good for
scared.
you.
And he kept going and going until I literally just said, I can't work with you anymore. I says, don't call me again. I says, I'm telling my agency, I'm never working with you again. You know, and it was like, I remember the feeling. It was just a horrible feeling. I felt so, like, I don't even know the word. I just felt, yeah, I felt like a scared little girl. That
Yeah.
scared little girl, and I just felt so deeply uncomfortable. So there is quite a seedy side to it, especially then, and I didn't enjoy it at all. So I only worked with certain people, and I stayed true to myself. You know, there was no need. There's no need for it, and I just, it was disappointing for the girls because I thought how many other young girls are going through that. by other people in a position of power. And there needs to be more monitoring and safeguarding of these models, men and women both. But
Mhm.
nowadays, I'm still just getting back into it. I've only had a few jobs, but so far they've all been incredible. And
Mhm.
I am like a size 12. So I've got piercings, I've got tattoos, I've got, yeah, like it's a different world. Diversity is encouraged.
Mhm.
And that's what I was saying
Mhm.
earlier about a true representation. Like, there's nothing wrong. By putting a stick woman everywhere, they're saying there's something wrong with everything else. Like, no, there should, every shape, every size, every colour is beautiful. And there are disabled women out
Mhm.
there and men, and there are, people out there. And it's great to see. You probably see it yourself on the adverts. I've seen a lot of disabled models, older models,
Mhm.
and it's about time. And even look on, like I say, the Anne Summers website, it's nice to see the legs, they've kept the cellulite and things like that, because that is what a woman is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's obviously an issue. I actually did a talk at a college. They just asked me to record. There were certain factors. Anxiety was one of them. Students suffering with anxiety, confidence. But one of the things that the tutor had asked me to touch on was body image because it's
Very good.
just something that students were struggling with. But I mean, yeah, I'm glad I was able to contribute and hopefully
Yeah,
help, and hopefully they can take little bits from it and it will help them. But such a shame that I had to talk and they were asking me, can you do a talk on body image because our students are
you're right.
struggling?
I have a 9-year-old sister, and her little friend, she was actually licking the crisps and not eating them because she didn't want to gain weight. And my heart, I was like, at this young age, I never thought of those issues when I was that age. I don't know about you, but I was just, children were children. I think it is a day where social media is a massive influence. And like I say, it's sad, it's heartbreaking to be having these conversations around anxiety in such a way, because
Mm-hmm.
like, a child shouldn't have to know. I know I didn't. I wasn't like, too anxious until I went through the adversity that I went through. But that's a different reason altogether. I didn't have the anxiety around my body image. And we're taught to like cover up, or this is wrong or that's right. Like, where are all these rules coming from? It's like, it's actually a socially constructed concept that we've created. And you know who's created it?
I know. And I think people are fighting back now. I feel like we're at the very beginning, but we're
Yeah,
definitely headed in the right direction. It's like, no
absolutely.
more. We're not standing for this anymore. And,
It's great to
even,
see
seeing this. Yeah. Yeah.
like
And,
my
campaigns like I
boyfriend.
am seeing.
Yep,
Yeah, and if people are influenced by what they see, especially in the media. So by getting it out there, which we are starting to, and you're seeing campaigns now where, like you say, there's the cellulites out because that's real, and people are bigger, tattooed because that's our current culture. And if people see that out there, it will be accepted. Going back 50
yes.
years, men were and women were judged or judging because of what they saw that was out there. They were influenced by that. So yeah, I think as long as people keep talking about it and it's out there, then
Well,
that's
if
what
that's right,
instills change.
if you think about it, it even traces all the way back, like we say traditionally, where some women were labelled a witch just for being different,
Mm,
like, and then they would be killed.
mm-hmm,
Like, and it's
mm,
obviously not as extreme as that in this country nowadays.
mm.
But these issues are still very real and are very much right there.
And you're doing a lot of campaigning, and you said you were in Australia for quite a
Yeah,
while. You were
yeah,
living over there. Yeah,
yeah. I
and
was,
so obviously now you're back in Scotland. Yeah,
yeah.
tell us about that, and what made you come back as well.
Great. Yeah, well, it's been amazing. So I got flown over with Oxfam. So I was the deputy manager of Oxfam here, and then they flew me over to Australia, and I worked with Oxfam Australia for some time, and I was to set up departments all over. So I got to travel to Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, and I would set up departments for face-to-face fundraisers to train them up and get them on certain campaigns. So then I eventually, like I say, I ended up getting sponsored to stay, and I ended up opening my own company, where I got to work with like Save the Children. Like I said, Plan is just one of my favourite charities in the world. I always loved them, I always will. I just have a soft spot for children, especially little girls, like with like I say, the child bride situation. I just can't. It's my soft spot. It breaks my heart. I would take them all home if I could. So yeah, I was really blessed. I got to go over there and work on these campaigns. And when working with Plan International, we actually managed to outlaw child marriage in 6 countries. That was because of the work we done. And I'm just so proud to be a part of it. So I thought, well, if I can, and the money that we raised to build God knows how many schools and things like that, the impact was amazing. So I thought, if that's what I can do without a degree, I thought, what can I do with a degree? So I may as well. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky in Scotland. We have free education. I'm a fool not to take advantage of that. I was quite unfortunate in Australia. I do have some illnesses. I don't know, you might know about them. Endometriosis.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
getting quite a lot of noise as well right now. A lot of women suffer with that.
Mhm.
I also have two tumours on my bowel at the moment, and I've got gallstones, so I'm in a lot of pain. These are invisible illnesses,
Mm.
and I've had to get several surgeries, and I've had to come home to do that. So I need to get my treatment here. But I figured, this way I may as well get my degree as well. So
Yeah.
I've had one of my surgeries, I've got two more to get, I've got one more year at uni, so I figured I'll finish getting my degree because, yeah, like I say, if I can do those, like, outlaw child marriage without, I thought,
Yeah.
I really want to see what I can do now. So I'm doing like work experience in poverty research centres in Scotland, and it is just incredible. But at the same time, I've just
Yeah.
got a place in a movie, and
Yeah.
I've got photo shoots coming out my year's events.
That's
So yeah, I'm really glad right now because of my health. I can't do a typical 9 to 5, like not all the
amazing.
time. So modelling is really great when it's flexible. I could just say like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
put a photo shoot or two in a week. It'll be so many hours
Mhm.
and it pays great. So as a student, it bumps my finances right up. Yeah, at the same time, I get to do what I love. It's been a hard
Yeah.
life, but I'm very lucky right now, and I'm so grateful for
Yeah.
everything. But it has been due to years of graft, and that's it. That, like, I might not be the brightest in the bunch, but I will work harder than anybody there.
Yeah. I would disagree. I mean, I would say what's to
Thank
say
you.
who's bright, you know? I mean, what does
True.
that even mean? Because
Yeah, true.
we're all meant to be doing different things and look at what you've
Thank you.
achieved, whereas someone who's classed as bright might not have had the same motivation and strength that you did. So yeah,
Thank you so much.
it's amazing. You're welcome. And you've literally designed your life around you and your passions. And that's what I'm all about. I work with people to do just that. And I do believe that we should be creating our life around what we enjoy rather than fitting what we enjoy into a life, 9 to 5 or something that's
Yeah,
not very fulfilling. But yeah, you've done that, and honestly, I think you're a great example. So well done, and not just doing it for you, but doing it for other people as well. I think you should be really proud of yourself.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
That really means a lot,
Oh,
Karen. You're amazing. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
yeah, you
I could
too.
interview you,
Yeah,
I tell you.
I think. Yeah, well, there we go. It's maybe one day that'll happen then when you've got your own
Yeah.
podcast.
Absolutely, I would love to. It's been nice to get a taste for it, but it's been so good to talk about these issues.
Hmm.
It's great because you're really, you can tell you're quite all round knowledge, and I feel like I've learned quite a bit from you even in this conversation. So it's really really nice
Oh,
to
good.
talk to you for sure.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing. And, I know that doing podcasts, you're making yourself vulnerable. So thank you for doing that. And
No,
yeah, we
it's
will definitely keep in touch. Yeah, and who knows, maybe you'll be interviewing me one day.
That's
And
great.
one thing I like to ask is, you've obviously spoken a lot about what you're doing for other people, and I know you love what you do, but is there anything in the future that you are longing for or that you want that's just for you? Maybe a dream or goal that you've got?
That's a really good question. And I guess success is different to every person, you know. So
Mhm.
someone might want a rich house and a nice car, and other people might want a happy, small little family, and that's their success.
Mhm.
But for me, yeah, I think for selfish as something like I'm trying to be more selfish. I'm trying to like not selfish, but I'm forever I've put in myself last, and I'm like no because I want to, like I say, invest in myself because then I can do even more. So for me, I've got some health goals. Like I say, I want to reduce, because there's people that have disabilities and stuff. The health inequalities is just like I've had a taste of it, and it's really hard. So I'm trying to reduce my
Mhm.
health inequalities for myself. But I would love to have a baby. To be honest, I actually want to have a baby. And for me, the dream is like I would like to get a nice little, after getting my degree, I would love a wee house near I don't know, I like my nature. I love my nature. I think I'm
Yeah.
Pocahontas. So I just want to be somewhere near the trees or a lake. And I would love to have a family, yeah, with lots of animals. And I think that would be success to me.
Mm-hmm. It sounds bliss.
What about you?
I think my vision board, because I did have a vision board for
Yeah.
years. It sat in my room, and it's coming true this year. There's
Oh, I'm
one thing
so happy
missing,
for
and
you.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
actually
and
going to make one the other day, so you're definitely sold it to me. I'm making one for sure now.
yeah, yeah, because
Um,
it's when it's in your vision, when it's there, and you see it every day. Your brain, your subconscious starts to make the connections to make it happen, baby step
yeah,
by baby step. So yeah.
I'm
Like I say,
definitely
there's
going
one
to
thing
make
missing,
one.
but maybe I'll update you by the end of the year and we'll see if that
Yeah,
missing piece
let
is
me
there.
know. Because I don't want to jinx it, so don't tell me now. But definitely keep in touch and let me know. Also,
Yeah.
I'm going to be making a new social media. Um, I think I'll probably actually manage maybe today. I hope. So that's probably the link I will send you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'll let you know about that. That will be fine.
Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, obviously, how can people work with you or get in touch or help in any way? And I will leave links below for them to do
Good
that. How can they get in touch?
question.
Or
Yeah, so for my modelling, it would be maybe either via my email or social media. So feel free to put my email on it. Um,
hmm
and for any people that want to get involved with the sort of charity work or even modelling as well, it depends. So I have a great team of photographers, makeup artists, things like that. And they're always looking for new models. So yeah, that like if you anybody that's interested in modelling can definitely shoot me a message, and I can put them in touch with some good. It's a good little family, you know what I mean, and they
Oh,
can network amongst themselves. And for the charity work, well, obviously there is a bunch of different charities I mentioned there. They're
hmm
all outstanding. There is a million different ways to help. It really is. It depends on how someone wants to get involved. Like whether it's financially, whether it's volunteering, and there's loads of different departments. So I can send you, even just like I can send you a list of the charities websites, of just a
hmm
couple of the ones that we spoke about there, like Plan, the Red Cross, and maybe Save the Children. They're probably my
hmm
favourites. So maybe people could,
Yeah.
it might encourage people to go on and have a look at opportunities with them
hmm
too. So that would be lovely. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do that. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much, Sophia. It was so nice chatting. It really was. I could have gone on
I
longer,
know I
but
could chat to you
yeah, we
forever.
might need to do another one.
You can call me anytime, though. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, just give me a caller, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Sophia. I hope you enjoyed listening to Sophia's story. All details on how to contact Sophia or support the charities that she's mentioned are all in the description below. We obviously covered the topics of empowering your mind and not to be scared to reach out and ask for support or guidance. If that's something that you have been thinking about or would like to look into, I have my Step Into Your Power coaching program, which is one-to-one coaching using neurolinguistic programming and timeline therapy. My email is also in the description if you would like to chat more about coaching as well. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.